Hi, I'm Brian Benitez, Senior Client Success Manager here at complianceHR. Today, I want to show you Risk Center through another common scenario for HR and compliance teams. Let's say your organization already has a large population of independent contractors. Maybe they've been working with the company for months or even years. And now HR or legal wants to take a closer look to make sure those workers are still appropriately classified. The question becomes, are these contractors actually meeting the applicable federal and state-specific classification requirements? Rather than reviewing hundreds of contractors manually or relying on a spreadsheet, let's walk through how Risk Center can help create a more structured and consistent audit process. We'll simply click on the Risk Center, and we'll start by creating an evaluation for one of those contractors in our population. The idea here is we're simply not confirming that the worker is labeled as a 1099 contractor in our system. Rather, we're evaluating the actual working relationship and the factors that may impact a classification. We'll simply create evaluation. We'll select the evaluation type, independent contractor, for this scenario, the work state. The subject is the name of the contractor or contracting company. And then the company is the organization that the contractor is currently engaging with. We'll simply click on Create, and we've created a brand new evaluation for this engagement. Now, the great thing is Risk Center walks me through a guided classification questionnaire. Instead of trying to determine which factors I need to consider on my own, I'm guided through questions related to the contractor's actual working arrangement. For example, I may be asked who controls the work, how the contractor performs their services, the level of independence they have, how they're compensated, and other factors relevant to worker classification. For a contractor population audit, this creates a much more consistent process because we're evaluating workers using the same structured approach. Now, opening a questionnaire and just quickly taking a look at those questions, as you can see, we're guided through each type and each segment of a worker's engagement. We have engagement details where I can select the specific type of engagement and how they're personally performing the work. I can select one of the best fits answers, so let me go ahead and select this one. Or in some cases, I can select multiple options based off that particular question. Another important consideration is the jurisdiction. When you're auditing a contractor population, you may have workers operating in multiple states, and the applicable classification standards aren't necessarily identical everywhere. Risk Center helps us evaluate the engagement against the relevant classification considerations so we can identify where additional attention may be needed. So instead of asking, are all of our contractors classified as 1099, we're asking a much more meaningful question. Do the facts surrounding each contractor engagement support that classification? Now, once we complete a full questionnaire, we get a risk result for that engagement. And I have one prepared here. Now, moving to a completed questionnaire. The Risk Center provides results based on the evaluation, including the risk assessment. This allows me to quickly identify contractors or engagements that may warrant additional review. For larger contractor populations, this may help HR and legal prioritize where they should focus their attention rather than treating every contractor exactly the same. I can then drill into the assessment to better understand the factors of the result. This is important because the risk score itself is only part of the story. The underlying response gives us context on why a particular engagement may present more or less risk. If we identify an area of concern, the organization can use that information to determine whether a relationship needs to be reviewed, restructured, or escalated to legal counsel. Once the evaluation is complete, I can save and maintain the record of the information that was considered by clicking the download link here. This gives the organization an audit trail documenting how the contractor was evaluated and at what point in time. That's particularly valuable when you're conducting a broader contractor audit because you're not just making a determination, you're creating documentation, and the process that was followed. Now imagine doing this across your entire contractor population. Instead of having one spreadsheet with names and a checkbox that says reviewed, you're creating a structured evaluation for each contractor and capturing the specific facts around that classification. This gives HR and legal a much more consistent way to identify potential risk across their contractor population and determine whether additional review may be appropriate. So let's recap what we just accomplished. We started with an existing population of contractors and wanted to validate whether their classifications continued to align with applicable requirements. Using the Risk Center, we were able to evaluate the contractor's actual working relationship, work through a guided classification questionnaire, consider relevant federal and state-specific classification factors, review the resulting risk assessment, identify areas that may require additional attention, save the completed evaluation, and maintain an audit trail for future reference. This turns what could be a time-consuming contractor audit into a more structured and repeatable process. If your organization has a large independent contractor population, periodic classification audits can be an important part of your compliance strategy. Risk Center can help your HR and compliance teams bring structure to that process, identify potential areas of risk, and maintain documentation of evaluations performed. If you'd like to see how Risk Center could support your contractor audit process, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to walk you through it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next walkthrough.